We are from the Bhagavan Satsang, Melbourne group, Australia. And this is our second year, and we are delighted to be part of the global, worldwide get-together at Bhagavan Jayanthi. It started as a small group, and now there are around 50 members of it. So we were meeting once a month in the past, and now during COVID times, as we were not allowed to meet, we started doing Zoom meetings, and those meetings went really well. We were doing 3 times a week, 1 hour on Monday and Saturday mornings and Wednesday nights. And we are still connected, and I think we are really deeply connected in these times when people were stressed out. And I think all of us found that peace within, the silence within, with Bhagavan's blessing. I will pass it on to Revati ji to say a few words about her experience.
Thank you. Namaste. I just want to talk about how I met Bhagavan. I met Bhagavan online through the David Godman website. I was in search, I was looking for some answers, and that's how I came to the David Godman website. And of course, this was at work, and I spent a few hours every day looking at it. I used to finish my work pretty quickly, and then went through the whole website, even about Bhagavan's disciples, Muruganar, Kunju Swami, and everyone basically. And then I also did not find anyone who had heard about Bhagavan or Bhagavan's teachings, so it was a bit difficult for me. And it so happened that there was a book club, and we were discussing Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now. And during that time, I mentioned about Bhagavan, and one of them said they had a book. It was Arthur Osborne's book on Ramana Maharshi. And I used to read that book on my way to work and on my way back from work and at home and things like that. That book really, I just took to the book. In the sense, it just, every time I read it, there was a kind of peace within me, and that peace enveloped me as well. Every now and then when I looked up, I found that everything was really quiet. And even the book, when I kept it on my bedside table, as I walked up and down, Bhagavan's eyes really captivated me. It was, he just at that point of time, just took over my life. I wanted to visit Ramanashramam as well, and there wasn't anyone who was interested in going with me. When I spoke to my parents about it, my mother said, God is everywhere. And so dissuaded me from going to Ramanashramam on my own. And I just want to narrate an incident that happened. Around 7 or 8 years ago, by the way, this David Godman website that I was browsing was also about 10 or 12 years ago. And at that time, since then, David Godman has revamped his website quite a bit. Anyway, so we were in 2013, I think, on a visit to the Grampians, which is a local national park in Melbourne, not in Melbourne, in Victoria. And during that holiday, my family, my husband, who likes to go four-wheel driving, one morning at around 5:30 said he wanted to go four-wheel driving. And my boys, my children who were then still at school, did not want to come with us. So I just went in my pajamas without even brushing my teeth with him on a four-wheel driving. Our car was not really a four-wheel drive. So as we were driving, the car hit a ditch. And we tried as much as possible, it was quite deep, as much as possible to come out of it. We couldn't. And it was deep in the bush and summer. We didn't even have a glass of water. So I was more worried about the children. We spent an hour and a half there trying to get out. So it was, my worry for the children took over, and I said, sitting there, of course, we had on our dashboard written down at what time we were leaving the car and who we were and how many people we were and what we were wearing and things like that, so that if somebody found us, because it's quite dangerous in Australia to be left in summer somewhere deep in the bush. Anyway, I just then prayed to Bhagavan and I said, Bhagavan, I want to come to Ramanashramam. And you have to get me out of here. No sooner did I say that, there was a park ranger. This was on Christmas Eve, when you wouldn't really think somebody like that would be working on Christmas Eve in Australia. So this park ranger comes by, and of course he's got a winch, he's got everything, and he winches us out, and we couldn't of course go back on the same road again. So there is another little lane that we had seen before, but we couldn't go because it was locked. So these are really narrow bush roads, and of course he opened up the gate to that as well, and then he let us out. So this was quite an experience at that time, and of course I had to go back and tell my mom that, look, this is what happened. I exaggerated it a bit as well, just so that I could go to Ramana Ashram, and I said, I want to go to Ramana Ashram. And of course my parents also came with me, and that's how I went. I came to Tiruvannamalai, and of course before I reached Tiruvannamalai, I saw Arunachalam, the mountain. And my experience there was, I don't have to tell you, everyone, all of us here knows what it is like. So, thank you.
Now, one of our devotees is in India, Nilakantanji and his wife. They are joining us live from Trivandrum. Thank you, Neelakantanji. So, Ruchiji, do you want to say something?
I visited the ashram, Ramana Ashram, in early 2018. It had a very huge impact on me. It led to a transformation. It was a transformation at multiple levels. It was a physical, emotional, and a spiritual transformation. Physically, after coming back from the ashram, I had the opportunity to pursue my self-inquiry I could give more time to my self-inquiry. Emotionally, I felt much more connected to Maharishi Ramana's teaching. And spiritually, I felt that there was a lot more clarity to the knowledge of the self. When I visited the ashram, it was amazing how the ashram was so open to everyone, and the teachings of Ramana were still being followed. It was unconditional acceptance of anyone who could walk in there. And Ramana Maharishi, in his life, demonstrated that. Not only did he welcome people unconditionally, without any distinction, but he even loved and embraced the animals around him. That itself was very moving for me. His power of presence, his gaze had rendered many a devotees to self-abidance. That was his power, which is still so potentially felt by his devotees who are following the path to self-abidance. Ramana's teachings, I felt, were simple, yet very, very profound. He lived his teachings. Every breath of his was a teaching. That is how I felt. And we read the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, all these scriptures talk about how Atma is eternal. It is untainted, and the Mahavakyas, Aham Brahmasmi. Yes, that is good knowledge, but how do we imbibe it in our lives? I think Maharishi Ramana really taught us how to live this knowledge. He said, be in conscious awareness, and in that conscious awareness, living in that, you can experience the bliss. I would like to quote one of his sayings. Conscious awareness, that's who I am. It is neither grandiose nor humble. It's simply the truth. Understand this deeply, and the battle is over. Understand this without resistance, and there is no more struggle. Realize this fully, and the search has come to an end. May we follow his teachings. The best homage that we can give to our Sadguru is to follow his teachings and work towards self-abidance. Om Namo Bhagavate Trivandrum. Thank you.
Do you want to say something?
Yes.
Just a small thing to say that I think that words seem meaningless to have found these teachings. Thank you. And I bow down with my deepest gratitude and deepest love to Bhagavan for his teachings and for his wise and profound words. Thank you.
Chala Shiva, Aruna, Chala Shiva, Aruna, Chala Shiva, Aruna Shiva, Aruna, Chala Shiva, Aruna, Chala Shiva, Aruna, Chala Shiva, Aruna Shiva, Akshaya Linga, Atmalinga, Akshaya Linga, Atmalinga, Tejomaya Vigralinga, Tejomaya Vigralinga, Ikapada Sudadayaka, Isha, Ikapada Sudadayaka, Ikapada Sudadayaka, Isha, Ikapada Sudadayaka. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Aruna Shiva, Akshaya Linga, Atmalinga, Tejomaya Vigralinga, Ikapada Sudadayaka, Isha, Ikapada Sudadayaka. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namo. 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 Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Aruna Shiva.
This is a stuti, which is called praise in English, which has been done by one of the gurus for Kalpushanji ji. So when Kalpushanji ji in Ramayana was praying for Lord Shiva, he didn't pay respect to his guru when he came back near to him. Seeing this, Lord Shiva got angry with Kalpushanji ji, and he actually gave him a curse instantly. But his guru was not happy about his disciple Kalpushanji ji getting cursed by Lord Shiva, and he started praising Lord Shiva by this prayer that I'm going to sing now. And that's listening to that prayer, Lord Shiva melted, and he actually the curse was mellowed down by him for Kalpushanji ji. So here is it. I'm devoting it or putting my flowers back to Lord Ramana and Bhagavan by singing this bhajan, so that he puts his grace on all of us as well as we are his devotees. Namami Shami Shaman Nirvana Rupam Vibhum Vyapatam Brahma Veda Swarupam Nijam Nirgunam Nirvikalpam Niriham Chedakash Makash Vasam Bhajeham Nirakar Mokar Moolam Turiyam Giragyan Bodhit Misham रूपङ्गा लसत्पादबालेन्दुकण्ठे भुजङ्गा चलकुण्डलं कुसुनेत्रं विशालं प्रसन्धाननं नीलकण्ठं दयालं मृगाधीशचर्माम्बरं मुण्डमालं प्रियं शङ्करं सर्वनाथं भजामि प्रचण्डं प्रकृष्टं प्रगल्भं परेशम् अखण्डं अजं भानुकोटिप्रकाशं त्रयशूलनिर्मूलनं शूलपाणिं भजेऽहं भवानीं पतिं भावगम्यम् कलातीतकल्याणकल्पान्तकारी चिदासच्चिदानन्ददाता पुरारी चिदानन्दसन्दोह मोहाप्रभारी प्रसीद प्रसीद प्रभो मन्नधारी न यावदुमानात् पादारविन्दं भजन्तीह लोके परेवा नारायणं न तावत् सुखं शान्ति सन्तापनाशं प्रसीद प्रभो सर्वभूताधिवासं न जानामि योगं जपं एव पूजा नतोऽहं सदा सर्वदा शम्भुतोऽभ्यं जराजन्मदुःखोदताप्यायमानं प्रभो पाहि आपन्नमामीश शम्भु प्रभो पाहि आपन्नमामि शम्भो रुद्राष्टकम् इदं प्रोक्तं विप्रेण हरतोषये ये पठन्ति नरा भक्त्या तेषां शम्भो प्रसीदति
ब्रह्ममुरारिसुरार्चितलिङ्गं निर्मलभाषितशोभितलिङ्गं जन्मजदुःखविनाशनलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं देवमुनिपर्वार्चितलिङ्गं कामधामकरुणाकरलिङ्गं रावणदर्पविनाशनलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं सर्वसुगन्धिसुलेपितलिङ्गं बुद्धिविवर्धनकारणलिङ्गं सिद्धसुरासुरवन्दितलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं कनकमहामणिभूषितलिङ्गं पाणिपतीशोभितलिङ्गं दक्षसुयज्ञवैनासनलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं कुमकुमचन्दनलेपितलिङ्गं पङ्कजहारसुशोभितलिङ्गं सञ्चितपापविनाशनलिङ्गं
yourself?
I am Adarsh.
Adarsh.
I'm
Akshay, very good, very good. Beautiful.
Jagadishwari Daya Karo Jagadishwari Daya Karo
Very nice. So this was the performance by the Melbourne Satsang group, and because of Bhagwan's grace, we will continue till we are in this body-mind complex. And my prayers goes to all the devotees, all the seekers, that all of them get liberated and find the Shiva consciousness within them. Thank you. And we'll pass it on to the next group. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramana.
Om Shri Arunachal Ramanaya. Om Shri Arunachal Ramanaya. Om Shri Arunachal Ramanaya. It is a great privilege and a blessing to be able to participate in Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi's Jayanti celebration and representing the Australia region, and in specific the Ramana Maharshi's Sydney Centre. Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi's influence has been enlightening and so widespread across the world over so many years, so many decades. And the Sydney Centre has been working towards and helping a lot of devotees and disciples and aspirants and seekers to be guided on the spiritual path through the teachings of Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi. Shri Anil Sharma ji has been conducting satsangs in Sydney over more than 25 years, and in specific teaching and disseminating Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi's teachings for more than 20 years. And he is doing it through the guidance, direct guidance of Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi. On behalf of the Sydney Ramana Maharshi Center, let us join in and participate in this beautiful and wonderful satsang, where everyone from all over the world is participating on this beautiful occasion through this online medium in 2020. Let us, with that clear vision of a 2020 vision, on the substratum, on the basis of Bhagwan's teachings, see things as they are in pure clarity. Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi's teachings are very simple, and that is what the Sydney Centre aims to help seekers with the guidance of Ramanashram in Trivandrum, and through Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi's teachings. And that is to be in self-abidance. Because all there is pure awareness. And when there is conscious awareness of that reality, life becomes a bliss. And that is what Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi was and lived. The body existed for more than 40 years after that experience of that experienceless experience that he had as a young boy. And everyone has more or less read or heard about Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi's experiences. We will not dwell too much into the experience part of it. But let us try and see how Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi's teachings can help each seeker on the spiritual path, and what his teachings actually place before us. Every single human being is only and only seeking one thing in life, and that is happiness. No one seeks anything else. Everyone wants to be happy. And everyone is seeking their own happiness in their own little ways. Maybe this way, maybe that way. But if one goes and seeks happiness through objects, that little happiness that is obtained is only temporary. And that is the experience of everyone. It only provides temporary happiness. As soon as it abates, there is more desire that develops. And more and more and more, and it is endless. Then what is true happiness? Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi has actually provided and has enumerated two paths which he used to discuss with and provide to seekers who came and asked him. Essentially, Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi never wanted to give any teachings as such, because he was always in pure silence, reveling in the beauty and the bliss of cosmic awareness, conscious awareness. But when seekers came wanting to know about how to progress on the path and how to realize the self, the ever compassionate Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi would come out of the silence and utter few words. They were like bullets, aphorisms, which contained a wealth of knowledge and bliss and wisdom. Many a time, Bhagwan used to not even talk. It was in silence that the teaching used to be conveyed most of the times. And Bhagwan used to, the experience of many a devotee and seeker was that despite the fact that they came with a lot of queries and questions, when they sat in front of Bhagwan, and Bhagwan used to just look at them, they used to go into a sort of meditative samadhi, bliss. And when they came out of it, they used to find that their questions were not answered. The questions dissolved, they were not there anymore. That clarity of experience, when it came even at that level of mundane questions, what to say about that clarity of cosmic awareness? Consciously aware of that ever-existent reality. That is the grace of Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi. Bhagwan used to help seekers in two ways and two paths. One was the path of Bhakti Yoga, and one was the path of Jnana Yoga, which was self-inquiry. The path of Bhakti Yoga was expressed and taught to devotees who are more emotionally, who are of that particular temperament, who couldn't do too much of self-inquiry, who are more emotionally oriented. Depending on the propensity of the devotee and the seeker, Bhagavan used to say, continue on that path. Because bhakti is not no different. Bhakti also leads to the same goal. Because in bhakti, in cosmic love, the seeker offers everything that he or she has at the lotus feet of the Lord or Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi or the Guru. And when that happens, there is nothing left because everything is offered. There is no more ego, no more I. And then when that occurs, when that happens, there is complete merger with cosmic consciousness. The second and the most efficacious that Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi used to say, the easiest path is the path of self-inquiry. And the aphorism that Bhagavan used to use all the time, ask the query, who am I? But to go one step back to find out about this, who am I, when an individual considers himself or herself as the body, mind, intellect, one can start off with the query, well, I am this body. Am I this body? I always say my body. If one says my body, I am the possessor of that body. So I am not the body, I am the possessor of the body. My body, my mind. So I am not the mind, I am something other than the mind. It's my mind. So on and so forth with the intellect. If that is the case, if I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, well, who am I? And that is the platform and the basis on which the self-inquiry can commence with the grace of Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi. And when the inquiry commences, the mind in its habitual way will no doubt be flitting from object to object, going out, going in all the time, traveling from one object to the other. But one needs to all the time be aware and inquire, well, who is this who is even asking and having this issue? Why is this? Who is this who thinks that the mind is going out and wandering around? Because I am not the mind. Who is it? Who am I then? In this manner, if this quest progresses, and please, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi has said very clearly, one need not look for answers, because every answer that arises in the mind lake of the mind. And again one is caught up with the machinations of the mind. So rather than look for answers, even if an answer pops up, inquire again, to whom is this answer arising to? And so on and so forth. And when this continues on a regular basis, one goes deeper and deeper and deeper into the very source from where that I arose. Sadhu Om, a very close devotee and disciple of Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi used to say, based on the teachings of Bhagavan, would say, the moment the mind goes outwards, duality arises. The moment the mind goes outwards, duality arises because there is the me and the other. The moment the mind is turned inwards, towards that source from where the I arose, the mind does not remain as mind, but the mind dissolves into that very source from where it arose. With the grace of Bhagavan, let us all strive towards this pathway, whether it be Bhakti Yoga or whether it be the path of self-inquiry, because ultimately both of them lead to the same goal. Having said that, we are already that. We already are what we are seeking. Well, then what are we seeking? We are seeking something due to a false notion. And that notion causes all the issues. And that notion is the notion of the I, the little I. And the word notion itself says it all. The letters of notion says N-O-T-I-O-N. You look at it either way, from this side or this side, N-O-T-I, not I. You look at it from the other side, I-O-N, N-O-I, no I. So, it is only a notion because it is not I. Because there is no I. The I is only a notion. And that revelation of truth is what lifts the seeker into the bliss of cosmic awareness. Adi Guru Shankaracharya, Jagat Guru Adi Guru Shankaracharya in the 8th century AD had written a wonderful text called the Crest Jewel of Discrimination, Vivek Chodamani. And in that, he enumerates certain qualities that the notional ego has to develop, because one is still enwrapped in that notion that I am this body, this mind, this intellect. So one has to get out of this. How to remove that veil of ignorance? So certain methods are taught, and he had mentioned that there are certain ways, and those ways are sadhana chatushtaya, which means practice of 4 methods. And one should develop viveka. Viveka means contradistinction, distinguishing between right and wrong, distinguishing between good and bad, distinguishing between what is to be done correctly, what to avoid. That's one, Vivek. Then there is Vairagya, developing dispassion, having complete dispassion. And then there are 6 other qualities that one needs to develop, which is Shada Sampatti. 6, they call it. Shada means 6 qualities, Sampatti qualities. So Vivek, Vairagya, Shad Sampatti, we need not go into those details. And the last one, and that's the reason for this coming to this point, is the last one is called Mumukshatva. And Mumukshatva in Sanskrit, the English translation is keen and intense aspiration, intense longing. It does not, the English terminology does not convey the true meaning of mumukshatva, but it at least gives that relevant information of what the seeker needs to have as a prerequisite. Mumukshatva, intense longing, intense aspiration. To be in self-abidance, to be consciously aware of that absolute reality, that total conscious reality. And when that happens, when that deep, intense desire, the highest desire, the desire to be desireless, the desire to want to be desireless is there, and that longing is so intense, then that cosmic reality has no choice but to offer it to that seeker. And that intensifies the inquiry into the self of who am I? Who is this? Who even seeks this desire for desirelessness? Who is it? Where from does this desire for desirelessness arise? And that leads into the very depth, the source from where it arises. We are all blessed. It is a true blessing to be in the presence, the cosmic presence of Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi. Because to be able to remove this veil of ignorance, because duality only expresses itself through the ego and sees everything in a sense of duality, whereas reality sees everything through the eyes of eternity. And when functionality happens through the eyes of eternity, then all there is silence. All there is bliss. All there is pure cosmic awareness. Because all there is awareness. Everything functions within that awareness. So I am not in the body, is what Bhagavan says. I am not in the body, but the body is in me. This space is in me. Because I am that totality of consciousness, conscious awareness, pure bliss, Sat Chit Ananda, absolute existence, absolute consciousness, and absolute bliss. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, dear devotees.